Well, a very good morning to you and thanks for tuning in. I'm James Preston, live from Kalkine Studios in Sydney, and you're watching the Early Trades, a show where we share with you a glimpse of the Australian share market opening trade scenario, along with the global and domestic drivers that are triggering the market momentum. In this show, we'll take a look at the morning cues, the overnight action from Wall Street, prominent trades from the morning session, and the movement of some of our major commodities. Let's start on home soil, and Australian shares opened higher on Thursday, taking cues from a largely positive overnight session on Wall Street. The ASX 200 opened the day gaining 80.9 points or 1.12% to 7,277.6. 8 of 11 sectors were higher along with the ASX 200 index. Utilities is the best performing sector. On Wednesday, the benchmark index fell by 1.1% to 7,196.7 points. Bendigo and Adelaide Bank, CSL, Fortescue Metals Group and Newcrest Mining along with Ramsay Healthcare are a few of the companies that are paying their latest dividends to shareholders on Thursday. Meanwhile, the top gainers of the day on the ASX during opening trades are Orica, Zipco, Codan, Beach Energy and Sims, while the bottom performing stocks are Gold Road Resources, Cochlear, Northern Star Resources, Regis Resources and Unibail Rodamico Westfield. On Wall Street, the Dow Jones rose 0.25%, the S&P climbed 0.15% and the Nasdaq fell by 0.25%. Stock indices in the United States and Europe staged a partial recovery after a heavy sell-off on Tuesday consigned Wall Street to its steepest drop since mid-July. Traders slowed their selling of US Treasuries, leaving yields mostly unchanged. Investors also kept an eye on government spending talks that were occurring in Washington. Let's move on now to take a quick look at some prominent ASX shares during the early trades. The first company on our list today is Internal Diagnostics, which has announced the acquisition of the X-Ray Group. An upfront payment of 37.5 million Aussie dollars includes cash of 25.95 million Aussie dollars, and also a scrip of 11.55 million Aussie dollars. The X-Ray Group has forecast EBITDA between 5 and 5.5 million Aussie dollars for the 2022 financial year, excluding any COVID-19 related costs. The share price of Internal Diagnostics was trading at $4.82 during opening trade. The next company to take a look at is South32, which has exercised its preemptive rights to buy another 25% stake in Mosul Aluminium. The miner will buy additional stakes worth $250 million, taking its total ownership of the smelter to 72.1%. The investments were in line with the company's aim to increase its exposure to base metals. The share price of South32 was trading at $3.45 during opening trades. Moving on, and Rio Tinto is looking to start processing minerals in North America. The mining giant is figuring out ways to extract up to 10 critical minerals from copper waste at its Utah mining facility. Currently, China is the leader in processing these critical minerals. The share price of Rio Tinto was trading at $98.67 during opening trades. The next company to take a look at is Gentrack Group, whose management has revised its revenue guidance for the 21 fiscal year to 105 million New Zealand dollars. Due to increased revenue, EBITDA is also expected to soar to 12 million NZ for financial year 2021. The share price of Gentrack Group was trading at $1.80 during opening trades. Moving on now to Experience Co, whose management is raising 55 million Aussie dollars to finance its acquisition of Tree Adventures. The company is launching an entitlement offer at 33 cents per share, an 8.3% discount to the last closing price of 36 cents per share on the 29th of September 2021. The deal involves a 40.4 million Aussie dollar of upfront cash payment and another $6.5 million payable over 3 years from the completion of the acquisition. The share price of Experience Co was trading at 36 cents during opening trades. And just before we wrap up the early trades, let's take a look at movements in bond yields, crude oil, gold and also metals indices. The US bond yields fell to as low as 1.49% after rising for 4 straight sessions. In the currency space, the dollar rallied to a one-year high against rival currencies. The dollar index rose 0.75%, while the euro was down by 0.78%. Gold prices fell to its lowest point in 7 weeks on Wednesday as the dollar advanced. Spot gold fell by 0.5% and US gold futures finished by 0.8%. ASX listed gold stocks such as Northern Star Resources was in the red, while Newcrest Mining was also trading lower. In the futures and commodity space, US crude oil futures settled down by 0.6%, while Brent crude futures also dropped by 0.6%. Benchmark iron ore futures on the Dalian Commodity Exchange for January delivered a gain of 2.1%. Energy stocks such as Woodside Petroleum were seen in the green during early trading, while Santos was also edging higher during opening trades on Thursday. On the global stage, China's worsening power crunch pushed investors out of the Chinese stocks vulnerable to factory shutdowns, including chemicals and also steelmaking, even as the country's economic planning agency sought to reassure residents and businesses. Debt-laden property giant Evergrande had its shares leap by 15% after it said it planned to sell a $1.5 billion stake in Shengjing Bank. Investors are still waiting to see whether the developer makes some now overdue bond payments, and rating firm S&P Global said another major property firm, Fantasia, was also at a growing risk of default. Well, that's all for now on the early morning trades. Stay tuned to Kalkine TV as we continue with live market updates throughout the day. I'm James Preston, signing off for now.